Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios of turning Monster Inc. characters into SCPs. And surprisingly, this looks like it may actually end up being a bit of a shorter episode. So, either way, let's hop in and see who gets the monster treatment.
I was trying to think up some more
They are monsters. Huh. So I guess let's see who becomes the most monster.
fun animated characters I could turn into creepy sorts of creatures, and an interesting idea for adapting the lore from Monsters Inc. into SCPs came to me that would let me make a pretty creepy version of Boo, the human character from...
Wait, you're gonna turn Boo into a SCP? Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
that movie. So I'm gonna give that a shot and turn Monsters Inc. characters into SCPs today. And now that I am back to doing pop culture episodes as every other video or so, alternating with my original series, I am once again more open to suggestions from my subscribers for what other things I could adapt. So give me some more ideas below, especially various types of animated characters that aren't creepy, but would be fun to make creepy. I'm excited to see what ideas you've got, but for now, into this video.
Yeah, let's go.
Hit
Hit
like
like if you want. Subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone.
And of course, we're starting off with Boo herself.
Result of the recent, thankfully minor, containment breach regarding a subset of entities the Foundation has long been aware of, today we will be discussing the history of these creatures and some specific cases. This collection of entities falls under the subcategory SCP-MI, and for once, I am actually approving of a subclassification because there is a significant enough link between these entities for it to be justified, and because it was not made frustratingly unnecessarily lengthy, such as the subclass we recently discussed, SCP-TAWOGB.
Seriously, you just gotta say Twogba.
SCPs in the MI classification are creatures of varying size and shape, but whom are all fueled by the same source. Instead of consuming food or liquids to sustain themselves, they acquire sustenance through outbursts of elevated human emotions. Historically, this has meant that fearful screams are what fuel them, and in fact, the fables of monsters hiding in children's closets were spawned from these entities, as they've found it easiest to acquire sustenance by terrifying children in the night.
Oh, it was pretty damn easy.
These monsters have long been convinced that human children are toxic to them, and extended interaction with them can fatally poison these entities. In truth, nearly the opposite is accurate, as we'll see in one of today's cases. Two members of this community willingly...
Humans, not toxic in the slightest,
gave themselves up to the Foundation recently, and are being housed in Site-2319, which resulted in the recent containment breach. These two entities turned themselves over to the Foundation on the condition that we help a human child they'd kidnapped and carried. One who was barely still human. Item number SCP-MI-138. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. MI-138 is to be housed in a standard containment cell with no special precautions required other than personnel wearing hazmat suits when entering the child's containment. Ample toys and games appropriate for a toddler are to be left in the child's room, and she is to be given time with the entities who brought her in once per day for a period of 2 hours. Though they must wear custom-sized hazmat suits during these interactions for the child's well-being. Description.
So while the humans are not toxic to the monsters are toxic to humans. Okay.
MI-138 is a 2-year-old human-born child in mid-transformation into becoming a monster. Her head is the only visible part of her that remains human, though there is another monster head growing around her human one with snail-like eye stalks sprouting from atop it. Her body is now scaly and purple, and her arms and legs have completely transformed into tentacles.
Oh, damn.
We anticipate her developing no dangerous abilities that could make her a containment risk, but her classification will remain Euclid until we have studied her further. Since coming into containment, we've been able to halt her transformation, but have not found a way to reverse it. You see, while the room...
And I bet the idea of trying to cut her out of the suit would not be doable. Okay.
Amongst MI-classified monsters was that humans are toxic to them. In truth, they have a toxic effect on humans. Extended contact and physical interaction will cause humans to begin to transform into monsters who require the same sort of sustenance as these entities. Thankfully, the human child can still sustain herself on human food for the time being, but we must be prepared that this could change if her transformation continues.
Or completes and finishes. Yikes. Boo, I'm so sorry for you, but you're a kid. I bet you don't even know what the hell's going on to you. Michael Sully.
This child
It's
was
Sully!
brought to us by two entities working in tandem. The first, and one who seems to care most for the child's well-being, is item number SCP-MI016.
He is very much Boo's father.
Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. MI016 is to be housed in a 20 by 30 foot cell with a raised ceiling to account for his large stature and the fact that he shares the cell with his ally, MI137. Standard walls and doors should suffice to keep the entities contained, but it should be noted for all who enter containment with this entity that it does have elevated...
Okay, wait, hold on. I know this is kind of peeking ahead, and I know that we all definitely going to get Mike, but I have to see who the last one is going to be. Is it going to be the crab guy? No, Randall. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I should have.
Strength as well as large teeth and claws with which he could do significant harm. His demeanor does not suggest it likely that he would use these to harm an operative unless he felt we were putting the human child or his ally at risk. Description: MI016 is a bipedal 10-foot-tall ape-like entity with blue fur and purple spots. He calls himself Sullivan, but is often referred to as Sully by his compatriot and as Kitty by the human child. This entity was one of the more infamous in the MI community. Long prior to turning himself in for containment, the Foundation was aware of him for being one of the more active and well-known creatures of this subcategory.
He was the number one
to lurk
scatter
in the closets of children and terrify them in the night. He is one of the longest active cases we've followed of these entities, but now seems to have turned over a new leaf upon meeting this specific child. MI016 was determining who his next prey would be, and was surveilling the house of this child, one Maria Gibbs, who he has been referring to as Boo, as the child...
Wait, is that her actual name? Yeah, Mary Gibbs. That was indeed the real name for Boo. Wow. I didn't know that for years. Didn't even think.
Has a tendency to enjoy trying to playfully surprise and scare people by exclaiming that very word. While lurking outside the child's house, 016 witnessed an event where the toddler accidentally kicked over what little remained in a small glass of orange juice, barely spilling any liquid on an easily cleaned surface. But this still prompted her father to strike the young child. Despite being fueled by the screams of children, 016 felt great sadness at seeing how the child was treated. Instead of striking that night, he continued to observe and deemed that the parents of this child were both cruel and negligent. Instead of sneaking into the child's closet to scare her, MI016 did so to kidnap her and take her away from her parents, even at the risk of his own life, believing the child to be toxic to him.
Okay.
This was all
now we're getting into the lore.
To the distaste of his closest ally, with whom he is now contained, and was considered incredibly dangerous to the MI community. A former mentor of 016 tried to convince him to return the child, but he refused. Unfortunately, Sullivan soon noticed Boo's transformation beginning and was concerned for her well-being. As the situation worsened, he deemed it necessary to try and get help from the SCP Foundation. This has concerned his community even further, and these two entities who brought in the child are now outcasts, considered dangerous. But they have made multiple interesting discoveries in taking this child from her home and remaining in close proximity to her for quite some time, such as the knowledge that they have a negative effect on children and not the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
And also that scream...
What would it actually be if it was the other way around? Would monsters just become more monster, or would they be turned human? Like that one episode of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, where Grim is turned into a human. If y'all don't know that, one episode he got sick, they took him to some underworld hospital, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry, but your friend is alive!" Grim sat up completely human, but the skin was like bone tight. He had no actual body mass. And yet, for some reason, he had a pig belly.
Screams are not nearly as sustaining to them as another emotional human response: laughter.
Your friend is alive. What? I'm sorry. I got that played in my head now.
So, it's time for another Pop Cross coloring book ad. Or maybe I'll focus more on the Monsters of the Multiverse art book for this one. I mean, that one does have a bunch of SCPs in it, like we're seeing in this video, plus dragons and dinosaurs and kaiju and aliens and stuff.
All awesome.
But, who's on deck to do this ad with me? Hello? Is nobody else here? Oh, right. Sorry, Benny. I forgot to call anyone else in, but I'm here. I guess, but I was hoping for someone with more bantering chops, like Zoophiathan, a Busta Terminax, a Psychopedalict. I can banter, while also staying on topic and saying that the Pop Cross Demons coloring book
Can you banter with yourself?
has lots of creatures like what you're seeing in this video, for you to color yourself. Yeah, you're here, but you're too focused on the ad. I've been liking how these ad breaks has basically just become excuses to do mini banter sessions with folks I don't usually talk to. Yeah, that's
fun.
fair. I've been kind of liking that too. But how about in Monday's video, you and Champ have a full video banter session with the Archangel Coppery from Fear of the Demon Hunters. Oh, I like the sound of that. Yeah, let's just get to that.
Oh,
okay,
I can't
but
wait.
The ad is... Yeah. All those books we was talking about and more is linked in the description, folks. And now back to Drezzy Boy's Creepy Creep files. Item number SCP-MI137. Object class, safe.
Hey, just asking, but was that actually the first time we've ever seen his face while we were in an ad?
Special containment procedures, identical to those of MI-016, with the added note that it is less likely this entity could do physical harm to our operatives. Description.
You could do bad
137
jokes.
is a 4-foot-tall green creature with a large head in place of a human body. Its arms stem from the sides of its head and its legs from the bottom. It has a semi-humanoid face, albeit with one large cycloptic eye in the center of its head instead of two. This entity's name is allegedly Mike Wazowski, and while he does seem to care for the safety of the human child...
Oh god, now I want to watch the damn movie. Okay, you know what? Later today, when I actually get a chance, I'm gonna watch that movie. And I hope all of y'all out there as well will watch it as well. Because, come on.
He does so more grudgingly than MI-016. He also seemed offended that he was not classified with a number closer to that of MI-016, as apparently the two have been scaring together for nearly as long as they've both been active.
Yeah?
MI-137 was never as good at frightening children with his own presence due to his small stature and less impressive vocal range for roaring and shrieking. So, he had become like a coach or assistant to MI-016, helping him strategize how best to frighten children and get a scream large enough to sustain them both. While he is less physically imposing, it should be noted that he has proven on sporadic occasions to have a higher level of intelligence to his ally, and MI-016 has asserted that he would not have been as successful in his scaring exploits without his ally's aid. With that said, this entity is also quite clumsy and prone to spills and falls. This is actually how these entities learned that laughter from children fueled them more than screams.
Yeah, I remember the first
occasions,
scene.
MI-137 has followed.
He got stuck in that wastebasket, a mouthful of books, and that speaker just fell on top of him.
over or hurt himself in odd and silly fashions, prompting a laugh from the human child, which subsequently made both entities feel incredibly satiated in a way screams had never made them feel before. It is still unclear to both these entities why it has remained a secret amongst their community that laughter is the best sustenance, as it seems odd that it would be unknown amongst their kind. Surely someone would have accidentally done something to prompt a hearty guffaw from a child at some point, though the entity that appeared during the containment breach may be able to provide some answers as to how this could have occurred. He has a common trait amongst these monsters in that he is very competitive about being the greatest scarer amongst their kind.
Alright, that's Mike Wazowski done with. Now it's time for the one, the only, Randall. Do we know this guy's last name in any way, shape, or form?
This all leads us to the containment breach incident, which, for a rare change, did not start as a break-out, but instead a break-in.
Really now?
Item number SCP-MI079. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. MI079 is to be housed in a standard containment cell with infrared cameras aimed into the room to keep constant surveillance on the entity, even when it camouflages its appearance. Only operatives trained in self-defense and wearing thermal imaging goggles may enter the entity's containment unless it has been sedated.
That tail is
Description.
deadly.
MI-079 is an octuplepedal lizard entity with a purple and blue hide while it is at rest in its common colors. It has the ability to camouflage itself, somewhat like a chameleon but beyond the levels of those animals, allowing it to render itself
like Mega Chameleon.
entirely invisible to the naked human eye. This entity was also previously known by the Foundation for being fairly infamous as a scarer and has evaded capture by the Foundation on multiple occasions. He broke into the Foundation in an attempt to kill Sullivan, Mike, and the child as an assassin for elder members of the MI entity community, led specifically by the aforementioned mentor to MI-016.
I would actually love to see him do that crab spider guy monster. Oh, but as an SCP, but instead of it being like a regular still, it's like an action scene, like when he's chasing Mike through the hole. No, when he's chasing Sully through the hole, and he's saying, "Give back that child!"
They were concerned Sullivan and his ally would spill too many secrets in regards to where their fellow entities live and sleep, as well as their common scaring and intruding tactics, which would result in more of them being apprehended and contained by the Foundation. This is not the case, and in fact, MI-016 and his ally only turned themselves in on the condition that they not give us any information on others in their community that could help us capture them. But that would obviously be difficult for their community outside the Foundation to trust. MI-079, since being captured in his failed assassination attempt, has confessed that he had his own vendetta against MI-016.
Of course he did.
It seems Sullivan is more famous amongst their people for his scaring prowess, and MI-079 has long been trying to usurp him as the most famous scarer. Using his camouflage abilities, MI-079 was able to enter Site-2319 and attempted to strangle both MI-137 and MI-016 with his tail and arms, while they were being transferred to their allotted time with the human child. He attempted to distract Foundation personnel from assisting them by stealing passkeys and opening multiple entity containment cells. But thankfully, nothing he released was too much for our on-site staff to sedate and recontain.
Who did he release?
While it was a hectic event, and there were several injuries, no operatives were killed, and with MI-016's assistance, we were able to apprehend and subsequently contain the intruding entity. While he is not being incredibly
was a snowball used?
cooperative with our inquiries into this monster community, the way MI-079 has spoken about those who sent him, it seems the elders may have been aware about the sustaining abilities of laughter, but they considered it a point of pride and tradition for these monsters to be frightening, and as such they deemed to never share the information more widely amongst their community, keeping them from becoming children's entertainers instead of frightening beasts. Security in Site-2319 has been increased in case of another attempt on the lives of the contained MI entities. We anticipate there may be another, but are now amply prepared for it. That is all for today's lecture, but if you wish to stay updated on my future presentations and are watching this via the Foundation digital newsletter, which allows these recordings to be streamed site-wide in case you cannot attend in person, you may hit the subscribe button below the video to ensure you receive future lectures as they are recorded. Thank you.
Oh, I'm always going to be watching these, Dresden. You'll never be rid of me. Not bad. Out of all the designs, I actually really like Randall's. Something about it just feels like he would be like a decent pet, actually, pet. And I know that sounds weird since they're technically sentient beings and it'd be like petting a human, but the scales, that just feels like it'd be good to run your hands over. So he takes first place.
If you enjoyed this, you might want to check out my Inside Out SCPs episode that I did recently, and I'm still open to doing a sequel to. Or if you want something with a different type of lore, different narrator, you could check out my K-pop Demon Hunters characters as demons video.
That's some feedback on that.
Of course, we're ending on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote I read this week from Jim Quick, who said to stop being ashamed of how many times you've fallen down and start being proud of yourself for how many times you've gotten back up.
Ooh,
a nice, simple, clear, punchy one. I hope it's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday.
honestly, that's a line that would almost be perfect with the Maverick team from the Trismegistus Academy. Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.